Hello and happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and for choosing to spend some of your time with me. I'm Milagros. I am a speaker, a coach, and an author. And I like to come on here and share little tips and tools, nuggets, anecdotes, stories that can hopefully help us when we implement them, get ourselves, our lives to those next levels of healthy and happy. And by next level, I don't mean go from here to here overnight. I mean go from here to here. And then from here to here and here to here, right? Because it's in our life is created in those small shifts. So this series that we're currently doing is all about sharing tips that help us get to the next space of healthy and happy. And this week, I want to talk about potential versus patterns because it has been a theme with my coaching clients and in my own life. So what we mean by potential is the opportunities or the blessings or the gifts or the skills that we can see in ourselves or another person, and like they could be this amazing person, right? That highest level of self is potential, is the potential for us to grow, to expand, to be and to evolve and so on and so forth. And then the patterns are the repetitious, everyday, in and out things that we're thinking, saying, and doing that are in fact creating our lives. And either it's creating the same kind of life over and over and over, or we're using the patterns and these new repetitions to create change and shift things that are happening in a direction that we want to go. The goal is, or should be, for me, the goal is to create patterns that allow me to continuously reach new levels of my potential. Right? That's my goal, is to constantly pay attention to my patterns and say, is this pattern helping me? Is this repetitious action, right? And that requires, again, self-awareness and intentionality and love so that we can do it from a place of kindness and consideration for ourselves without trying to like force ourselves to be something different immediately. That's not real because we have momentum and we have patterns that need to be broken or rather shifted in order for us to continue to grow, right? So I'm constantly in that space where I'm saying to myself, is this a pattern? And is this a healthy one? Is this bringing me to next levels? Is this keeping me back? And I do it all the time. And recently I've been doing it around money and deservedness with money, right? So I want to start off just by kind of clarifying potential versus patterns. Now, when we are talking about ourselves, because this is the most important relationship we're ever going to have, the relationship that we have right up in here is going to determine and impact and affect every other relationship in our lives. All things begin here. All things begin here. All things begin here. So it is necessary for us to pay attention to these patterns first and foremost, right? And then realize, like, is this helping me? And if it's not, how can I create a shift? If there's a pattern of a negative thought, and we catch ourselves and we're aware of it, then we can be intentional about creating new thoughts in the opposite direction. We can be intentional about saying out loud, that's not true. Right? Like I used to do that when I first started doing affirmations many years ago. And if my mind would say, you're so dumb, you're never going to get this, I would have to like catch that thought and be like, that's not true. That thought felt really real because of the pattern, because it had been repeated over and over and over again. But when I started to pay attention and tap into my potential and like, no, I am creative and I am smart and I am intelligent and I don't have to be intelligent in all the things and smart. I don't have to have all the answers, but I know that I am capable and intelligent and smart. So I know that this isn't real. And then I could catch myself in that pattern, talk to it. Like that's how I do. I talk to it and I'll treat it like a person, almost say, that's not true. That's not true. I'm not dumb, because if I was dumb, I would not have gotten this far in my life. If I was dumb, I would, right? So I speak to it. I can articulate why it's not true, and then I'll reiterate my new affirmations, what I'm hoping to become my new pattern, and say, I am smart, I am capable, I am intelligent, right? I don't have to have all the answers. I know I can figure it out, and if I can, I will find someone who can. Boom. And then by creating that new pattern, that new way of speaking, what eventually happened was those thoughts, those old pattern thoughts fell off. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, because that's what happens with patterns, right? I think about this woman that I know who crochets, and she makes these beautiful patterns on this blanket. And she says, if you got one hook in the wrong place, you have to unravel it and redo it. And when she was saying that, I was like, yes, queen, patterns. We start creating this pattern. And when we get a kink in it, we have to be aware enough to go like, oh, no, undo, and then redo, right? It's about unlearning and relearning our patterns in order, again, to get to that place of our full potential. Now, the same should also be applied to our relationships. As much as we want to hold people in the highest regard and know that they have potential to be these extraordinary, amazing, compassionate, giving, caring, generous, whatever, fill in the blank, people, as much as we want them to be that, and they are capable of being that, and we know that they are because we've seen it in other humans, that's their potential. We also have to pay attention to their patterns. And if their patterns are hurtful or toxic for us, we have to be willing to make decisions accordingly. This means that I can hold someone's potential up here and say, you have the potential to be this amazing, compassionate human. I know you do, not only because I know it from human to human, but also because you've probably been compassionate at least once before. But what I cannot do is hold on to that one moment of compassion and then allow myself to stay in a situation where I'm being abused. Allow myself to stay in a situation where I'm being misused or used or mistreated, right? We have to, or we should, start paying attention to the patterns in the relationships. Hold the potential. Yes, absolutely. It is necessary. And pay attention to the patterns. And then when we see a kink in the pattern, or if the pattern is just a hot mess, we can say, or we should be able to say, or we should learn how to be able to speak for ourselves and say, this is not okay. Here's why, and here's how it affects me. I feel blah, 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 when you blah, 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 and you do this consistently, right? Calling other people out about the pattern and then calling them into a hard conversation can help rectify what is happening, because sometimes people are operating under patterns and it's so automatic that they don't even realize that they're doing it, and it takes another person to say out loud, here's the thing, right? And then when we do say it, if they're willing to do the work to make the corrections, and I use that word lightly because I can't think of a better word, it's not necessarily corrections as if something's wrong. They're shifting away from an old pattern to create a new pattern, right? And when they start to do that, we as a dynamic, as a relationship, get healthier and happier. But a lot of times people are afraid to have the hard conversations, and they just automatically assume that that person should be a mind reader and they should know. They're not a mind reader and they don't know. Now, if you tell them time and time again and you have those conversations and it's still unhealthy for you, you have to then make decisions about whether or not you're going to continue to invest your time and energy in a pattern that is hurtful. If you separate from that person, you can still hold their potential right here. And while you're doing your healing, right, it might give them room to really acknowledge and see their pattern because of the separation, and they might also change and grow. How many times have you heard of, or maybe you know yourself, relationships that break up, and then after they break up, when that other person gets into another relationship, they are everything you wanted them to be. And you're like, how? Why? What was it about me? Oh, honey, it wasn't about you. It was the necessity of the separation that turned the trigger for them, that they went, oh my gosh, I have to clean up this pattern or create a new pattern if I want to have a healthy relationship, if I want to keep someone who is worthy and deserving, right? So I wanted to say that because I feel like somebody needed that, right? If you ended a relationship and then that person became someone different or evolved to a healthier version of themselves, it was because of the breakup that they were able to do that, right? Rather than take it personal, you did them a favor. You were a gift. You were a gift. Now you can do this work here so that when you attract someone who's healthier and happier and on your level, right? So during the course of this week, month, year, I don't know your journey. You have to decide. Let us be intentional about looking at patterns versus potential, both within ourselves and within the dynamics of our relationship, so that we can make decisions accordingly to bring ourselves and our relationships to those next levels of healthy and happy. Whew! I hope this was beneficial. If you know someone who can benefit from this, please share it with them. It's free. If you haven't already, head over to my website and sign up for my weekly newsletter. You can also, while you're here, subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or anything, hit me up. And this Thursday at 7 p.m., I'm holding a workshop called In Our Fullness or In Your Fullness, where we're going to talk about the beginning of how do we start to get back to a place of authenticity, unapologetic authenticity, so we can live more congruent lives, healthy and happy, right? It is $30 for members of Super Sparkly Everything, SSE members, and it is $40 for people who are not. You can Venmo me. You can head over to my website. The information's on my website, and I look forward to seeing you. I'm hoping it stays like a small, intimate little group, but the more the merrier, and we'll be doing more of these as time goes on, hopefully. So if you have any questions, you can also hit me up, supersparklyeverything@gmail.com. I appreciate and love you because you are a fellow human and you are deserving and worthy of love, period. You don't have to earn it. So I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you next week. Peace.